Oh my goodness, what a game it was. The Buffalo Bills versus the Indianapolis Colts. This game was about as close as I thought it would be. Honestly, the Indianapolis Colts are a very, very good team, and they are well coached. And I say that even though they did make Frank Reich made a couple of decisions that people in Indianapolis are going to talk about and kind of criticize him for, but he was being aggressive going up against a very talented Buffalo Bills team, and he wanted to set the tone. Had he come up with those big plays for Indianapolis, it would have completely changed the game for the Buffalo Bills, for the Indianapolis Colts, honestly. Going for two and then going for the touchdown, those two plays for the Bills defense were absolutely huge, changed the momentum of the game for the Bills. They ended up winning 27-24. And before we go any further, I have an apology to make. Tyler Bass, you're probably not listening to this, but if you do, if you stumble across this and I ever see you, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You have turned into an absolutely incredible kicker, and after you had a very, very rough day where you missed multiple easier field goals, I was so ready to get rid of you and just cut you and bring in a veteran, and then you just completely turned it all around. You have been lights out, and in this game, you kicked a 54-yard field goal, and then you gave us some big dick energy at the end of it, flexing on the Indianapolis Colts. It was awesome. It was fantastic. Great job by you. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Please continue to be amazing. We move on. The Bills won an absolutely stellar game, 27-24. And one of the things I did say was that Allen needed to be very, very good, and the Bills' offense needed to keep cooking in my keys to victory in the last episode. And Allen, although he started slow, put the team on his back and absolutely won the game for the Bills. He was straight dealing through the entire game, and he was awesome. He was awesome, except for one play where I screamed and yelled at the TV for him to get down. He was simply incredible. He was 26 of 34, 76% completion percentage, 324 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 11 carries for 54 yards and another touchdown. Josh Allen was the Bills' offense in this game. They had no run game, and Josh Allen was the one who provided it for them. Led the team with 54 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, one of my keys to victory was Allen being productive, being good, and they did just that. This is the 9th straight time they have scored 26 points or more, and this energy has to continue for the Bills to keep winning games, especially in today's NFL. Teams score lots and lots of points. The Bills have to keep scoring points and more points and more points. Don't ever let up. Score as many points as you can. This is the playoffs. If you're up 54-0, keep your starters in and blow the doors off the other team. Do not give them even an ounce of a chance, because when you do, stuff like what happened in Indianapolis can come back and bite you, and it almost did. And they had a chance at the end of the game to tie it or potentially win it with a Hail Mary. Another thing in this game was Allen was under duress the entire game, and he had some of the highest level throws I've ever seen. The first throw he had that I said, wow, was down near the end zone, rolls out to the right side. I thought he was throwing the ball away, flicks his wrist about 30 or 40 yards downfield, and Gabe Davis, who is Mr. Toe Tap, caught the ball on the sideline, dragged his toe. It was incredible. It was awesome. He did the exact same thing, but on the left side of the field the next time, on his offside, flipped his hips and his shoulders, flicked it downfield, put it in a spot where only Gabe Davis could catch it, and Gabe Davis does just that again. He had 4 catches for 81 yards, I believe. As I said, Allen was dropping dime after dime after dime in this game. And dropping them 2 wide receivers that were unstoppable. Diggs was unstoppable again. He led the team in yards. He had 6 catches for 128 yards and a touchdown. And Gabe Davis, he had 4 catches for 85 yards, including those 2 huge catches on the sideline. One of them, I believe, was third down. Both of them might have been third down. Just absolutely incredible by him. Big game in big situations. He made big catches. And he is really turning into a very solid wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills. An absolute steal that they got, I believe, in the 4th round. One of the other keys to victory, I said, is the Bills needed to put pressure on Phillip Rivers. They failed to do that, as I kind of thought that they would. If I could not stutter, I kind of thought that they would. Indianapolis has an incredible offensive line, and they held the Bills at bay and essentially the whole time, and Phillip Rivers carved them up as I predicted they would, as I predicted he would. He was 27 of 46 for 309 and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. One of the things that they did do right is they had to contain Jonathan Taylor. I said that in last week's episode, and they did just that. He had 21 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. He averaged just 3.7 yards per carry, and he was coming into this game averaging 5 yards a carry. Great job by the Bills defense containing him, although overall they didn't do a great job against the run, as they let the Indianapolis Colts run for 5.4 yards a carry on the game. Nyheim Hines, I forgot his first name. Hines ran for like 75 yards on 6 carries, so they didn't do a great job overall, but they did a great job on the biggest threat, which was Jonathan Taylor, and that's what helped lead to the victory. The big thing that the Bills did, as I stated earlier, was they came up with several key stops in key situations, and that is what helped them move on for the first time in the playoffs since I was 7 years old. I was 7 years old the last time the Bills won a playoff game in 1995. That is an incredible amount of time. That's 2.5 decades that the Buffalo Bills have not won a playoff game. So you can imagine what it's like to be a Bills fan and the jubilation that we all felt when Poyer knocked that ball down and the Bills moved on to win the game. And that's going to lead us into the Bills playing the Baltimore Ravens. This was a team that I didn't want to play, and I'm going to tell you why. The Bills don't match up well against the Baltimore Ravens. The thing that the Ravens do best on offense is the thing that the Bills do worst on defense. So that's going to pose a big problem. I know that they held them in check last year, but that's last year. That's last year. Okay? The Bills' defense has not been playing up to that level this entire year, and the Ravens are hot. They're coming in hot, and they think that they can beat anybody, and that's a recipe for disaster for the Buffalo Bills. So the top 3 rushers, for the Baltimore Ravens all averaged over 5 yards per carry in the regular season. Think about that. The Bills' worst trait on defense is their run defense, and what the Ravens do best is run the ball. So the Bills are going to have to come up with a really good game plan in order to limit that. All 3 rushers, Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins, had over 700 yards rushing each, and they combined for 22 touchdowns. The Bills have to find a way to slow down that run game. And that is going to be the biggest key in beating the Baltimore Ravens. You're not going to contain Lamar Jackson. That's just not going to happen, but you have to figure out a way to slow that run game down. Another key to victory is the Bills have to make Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm. If the Bills make Lamar Jackson throw the ball more than 30 times in this game, I think the Bills have a fantastic chance to win, because not only does he not have the weapons, but he's incredibly inconsistent when he has to throw the ball downfield. When he has to make big plays, the big plays come from his legs. We're talking about a guy who only threw for 2,757 yards this entire season. We're not talking about a super dynamic passing offense when we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens. He had 179 yards and 1 interception throwing the ball in the wild card game, a game that they won, a game that they didn't look that great as far as I seen. But he also had 136 yards rushing on, I believe, 11 carries in that game. So you have to think about it. That's the best way you can do, the best thing you can do with Lamar Jackson is make him try to beat you with his arm, because that's his weak spot. His weak spot is standing in the pocket and throwing the ball downfield, making big plays with his arm, fitting the ball into tight windows. He struggles with that. So that's what the Bills need to do. You don't have to rush all the way upfield. Don't give him lanes to rush. Make him go east-west instead of north-south, because he's fast enough to beat you downfield also. Another key for the Bills to win is their offense is their best defense. If the Bills start fast, they must start fast and put a lot of points on the board quickly. If the Bills come out and score on their first 3 possessions, maybe touchdown, field goal, or touchdown, field goal, or 3 touchdowns, that puts Baltimore in a predicament that they have to start passing the ball more. They have to kind of abandon the run game, which is their strong suit. And that plays into the Buffalo Bills' favor. And the last thing is the Bills, Josh Allen needs to handle the blitz and handle it well, which he has done most of the season, but he has to do it in this game for them to win. Baltimore blitzes the most out of any team in the NFL. And Josh Allen is not going to have time to hold on to that ball like he would in some of these other games. He has to get the ball out. He has to get it to his playmakers, and they have to make plays. Also, the wide receivers have to beat man coverage. Man coverage is played by Baltimore the 4th most in the NFL. So it's going to be a lot of one-on-one matchups across the board, and the wide receivers are going to have to win these matchups, and Allen is going to have to find them in order for the Bills' offense to keep cooking the way it has. All in all, I think the Bills stand a very good chance to beat the Baltimore Ravens, provided they accomplish most of the things that I talked about right here in my keys to victory. Baltimore is a team that is dangerous. They are hungry. And Lamar Jackson's out to prove a lot of people wrong. Out to prove that he is a good quarterback. Josh Allen has proved that he is a good quarterback. He has to prove that he can continue to be a good quarterback. My prediction for the game, the Bills are going to win this game and move on to the AFC Championship game. They're going to win 31-20 in this game over the Baltimore Ravens. The defense is going to do the job on Lamar Jackson. Stick around for the next segment. We're going to talk about some Buffalo Sabres, and we're going to have a great time.